Welcome to another episode of The Canon, where I bring you the latest in comic book and superhero movie news. I'm your host, Terry, and I'm ready to bring you the stuff that matters. And we are starting with some really bittersweet news as ZACK SNYDER has exited Justice League. He is no longer on the post-production due to a family emergency in which his daughter committed suicide in March, and he is now taking time, as well as his wife, Deborah, who is a producer. They will be both taking time off to deal with their family issues. And Joss Whedon is now signed on to wrap up the Justice League film post-production duties. He, of course, directed Avengers for Marvel and is now set to direct Batgirl, so he is now stepping up. So, again, bittersweet news, and I'll kind of get into why it might be sweet, but I'm going to keep the idea of Joss Whedon taking over for ZACK SNYDER, but this is definitely nothing you ever want to hear about somebody losing any family, especially someone, their daughter. Parents having to bury their daughter is something that nobody ever wants to see. And so ZACK SNYDER making the decision that it was more important to step away from the project to be with his family is definitely something you have to respect. Because I think it takes strength to stay, but it takes a lot of strength to leave. Also, a project that we know is just so big in his career, and he put so much time and effort and love into that he's trusting the studio to do what they got to do because his family is more important. The reason I say it's bittersweet, definitely bitter for that, but kind of sweet because a couple good things came out of this. We saw Warner Brothers willing to push the release date of Justice League. And with all the bad, criticism and news with the Flash and directors going on with DC, it really wouldn't have been a good sign to see the Justice League move back after it's being pushed up as their big, crossover project. But the money aside, the criticism aside, the studio stood by their director in his time of need and said, look, if this is what you want to do, we'll do it so you have time to come back. But Zach wanted it to come out on time, said no, handed over to Joss Whedon. So Josh taking over, he has experience with the project. That is all fine, but it just shows you again what the studio can actually do on the good side of things when a lot of times people focus on the bad side of the DCU. And then secondly, the fans. So this is something brought up by some videos that I was watching. And I did, of course, read articles, and I read the comments on articles, comments on videos. Not all of them, but, I skimmed through. And this was brought up, and I never thought about it, but I did notice that a lot of the criticism kind of melted away. And that in this time of, tragedy, people weren't killing DC or killing Zack Snyder. Yeah, Zack finally left, this will be good. And all the dirty stuff we know people could have said. There was no, fanboy versus fanboy. It really was a lot of fans showing appreciation and thoughtfulness for Zack Snyder. It was one comment. It was like the first thing I read, actually. I just happened to see it. Somebody was like, you know what? I feel horrible for all the criticism I ever said about Zack Snyder. He said, even though I didn't like the movies or whatever, the stuff I said about him was personal. And this made me realize that he's a human being. And that he hurts just like the rest of us. And that kid, that person could have been 5 years old. Not 5. They could have been like 8 years old. They could have been 48 years old. But somebody got touched in that way, and probably more than other people. Someone got touched enough by reality that this facade of trolling and internet security kind of broke down, and people really had to stop and realize, like, the stuff you're saying, it might be funny to you, or you might just like getting people upset, but these are human beings. Celebrities are human beings. And even though they do art that you might not respect, they are people. And so that was overwhelmingly nice to see. I'm very critical about the society we live in, so I never thought we could see a reversal or a step back of people going from technology savvy and troll nation and stepping back to being kind human beings for a second. I never thought we'd see that online, and that was just warm to see that it was probably like maybe less than 1% of all the comments were actually negative, because you still got some trolls, but not many. And so that was good, man. I'm glad, as for a moment, as fans, we took that time to just really celebrate Zack and really appreciate him and support him for what he did. So moving on to our next bit of news, there was a new Spider-Man Homecoming trailer that dropped. I'm definitely going to keep it. This trailer, man, let me tell you, I have not liked the trailer so far. The whole idea of the movie, I mean, not the idea of the movie, but the concept, once we saw it, has turned me off from the beginning. This idea that Spider-Man's a little kid and that he loses his suit and he has to prove it, and it's like diminishing his character to fit him in the MCU. But this trailer made me do a 180. Like, it was so funny. Like, the Spider-Man, the stuff we liked about Tom Holland, the way he plays Peter Parker Spider-Man, that we liked in Civil War, we didn't see that much in the trailers. Like, we saw some of the high school stuff, but we didn't really get that high school feeling. This one showed all the scenes where he's doing the banter, he's doing the witty talk, he's talking crap. Like, that is the Peter Parker we all love. That's the Peter Parker that I think all three Peter Parkers, Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire, I think they caught that a little bit, but since Tom is so young, it just comes off more natural. So I love seeing that. The technology in the suit was really cool to see. I think that helps you feel like, okay, he's losing something when Tony takes away the suit. Because at first it's like, okay, it's nice, it's tailored nice. Like, I can't survive without a nice tailored suit. But you realize how much actually goes into the suit and why losing it kind of hurts him being a hero. But then we see more of the Vulture up close. And so you just see a lot more. And this really got me excited because of the comedy, the lightheartedness, the fun that I didn't feel with the other trailers. So definitely you don't judge the movie off the trailer, but you have excitement level. And this took my excitement level from like a 3 to a 5. So I'm all down for this trailer. I think it should have been the second trailer release rather than those other ones. And we just got one not too long ago, so it's weird we got one so quick. But I think that was in response that, the last trailer wasn't all that great. And so they wanted to show the fun MCU side of this movie. Alright, so next up in the news, speaking of fun, we got some new photos for Star Wars. Vanity Fair had a nice layout in which they showed some pictures of the new characters that we'll be meeting, as well as some old characters with Rey and Kylo and all those people. I am going to keep it. I don't understand the magazines that kind of do the really wild cover and then a bunch of screen or a bunch of set photos inside the magazine. Set photos are cool, but I don't understand with so much technology, why don't you do really gorgeous pictures? And so Vanity Fair, everything I've seen from them has always been really gorgeous, so this is no different. It's really staged and posed, but it's beautifully shot. It's colorful. You really see the details and everything. So it was nice to see Benicio del Toro. So it looks like he's not going to be part of the Empire or the New Order, whatever they call what are they? New Order? Some order. First Order? Whatever. Because you saw Kylo with Captain Phasma and General Huck or the fan. Well, I don't know, Huckleberry fan. General Hux. And so you saw them together, and then you saw the Resistance together. So Kelly Marie Tran, she's obviously part of the Resistance, and that's how she meets Finn. And then we see Benicio, he's on his own. We see Laura Dern, she's on her own. And they are kind of their own people. So if I had to guess, Benicio looks like a smuggler of some type of illegal type criminal. And then we see pictures of this crazy looking party. So I'm guessing that's Laura Dern's. It was speculation she's a big politician. So that might be it, because we lost the Republic and The Force Awakens. So it looks like they might be going to some other politicians, who knows? But it just looks gorgeous. It gets you excited. It gives you that first look, the texture of what we're going to see from these people. And then there was a one with Carrie Fisher and a young girl, and I have no idea who that girl is. The way she was holding her was like she was a daughter or something. So if somebody knows what that is, they can explain that to me. But I thought that one was a little out of left field, because I don't remember them talking about any other new character besides the main ones I mentioned. So, but I really like those pictures. Vanity Fair did an amazing job. So a not so amazing job. Our next piece of news is back in DCU. Doug Liman is exiting the Justice League Dark movie. He signed on to do, I forgot the name of the movie, but it's starring Tom Holland and Daisy Ridley from Star Wars. It's a science fiction movie they're trying to spin into a franchise. So they have fast tracked that. And so he signed on to take care of that. So that's pushing, DC Justice League Dark off his table. I'm going to sweep it. I mean, I think this could have easily been avoided had Warner Brothers really put the effort and the green light behind Justice League Dark. Like, we heard them announce it, but there was no movement, no characters, no script, no anything. And so I think this is clearly a case of one project got off the ground before the other. And so he had to leave in order to, work on the project that's moving. And so I think Warner Brothers should have, again, they lack a vision, they lack a structure. So it's kind of like they just threw it out there. Let's do Justice League Dark, but we don't really have an idea of how that's going to work. And so that's upsetting, because you lose somebody that people really respected and felt was going to be a big contribution to the project. You lose them just because of scheduling conflicts, because you had him tabbed a long time ago. And I feel like if you got that project off the ground, if it's, kind of young adult science fiction book to movie versus a DC project, he would have took the DC project. So that's all on Warner Brothers in my mind. I don't know that Justice League Dark gets off the ground anytime soon, because it's kind of an alternative universe, not DCU, but it's all mystical and stuff, and then eventually it could cross over, but it's going to take somebody special to helm a new universe, and I don't know that you have anybody on their list that's going to do that, and all the people they got are kind of upcoming. So Warner Brothers like to bully upcoming directors, and I just don't see it working out. Alright, so that is the news for the day. Please go to the comment section. Show some support for Zack Snyder. Let me know what you thought about this news. While we respect Zack, do you think Justice League is going to change at all from Joss Whedon taking over? What do you think of the Star Wars pictures? Like, comment, subscribe, and if you heard it, it's official canon.